I'm Micah. I wrote a book and self-published it, and it did pretty well on Amazon. Bam, I'll put it right there. I also publish a anthology every year, a horror anthology with a bunch of awesome authors, and it does really well, and it's all for charity. And now I help other people publish books, new authors getting into the self-publishing sphere. I help them do that, and every Friday I get to kick it with my girl and talk about all the awesome things. I like long walks on the beach, and I am 25 years old. Okay. Your turn. Go. We've only got 2 minutes for an intro.
Okay, Chelsea here. I write books. I like to write dark epic fantasy. I show up on a couple of the anthologies Micah has done. Hopefully this year again. Let's just be honest. I have written The Blood of the Lion, The Mark of the Dam, The Dance of Destiny. Now, The Scars of the Wicked is coming out here. I am just hoping that it all works out. So that being said, I've done a few short stories. I have written a dark kids book that is, I'm not sure if it's kids friendly, let's be honest.
Oh, it's great. It's very kids friendly.
Yeah.
Very kids
and I am a coffee addict and will find any way to drink my coffee. And I like music. Goodbye.
Bye. Meta and AI win. Authors lose. Let's break it down and actually talk about it, because there's a lot of he said, she said. There's a lot of people just, getting excited about it, which I think there's a reason to. Excited / upset. But bottom line is Meta won. AI won. AI beat authors. We've talked about this in the past. Now we're going to actually look at the outcome of the ruling and get everybody's opinion, everybody's thoughts. If I could, Chelsea May, I will read off some bullet points from the ruling that I thought were interesting, that I think that the readers, especially authors, would find interesting, and then we can discuss.
Let's do it.
Also, I have not. I also busted my nose, so that's cool. That's fun. Busted my nose. I'm always injured. There's always an injury going on. I do have a great story to tell you about this earring too, so we'll get into that. So we've got injury updates. We've got writing updates. But let's start off with the big news. Meta and AI beating the little guy and the not so little guys, because they actually beat some pretty prominent authors. Meta's engineers torrented hundreds of terabytes of data from these libraries and incorporated them into the training corpus from LLAMA 1, 2, and later models. What's more, Meta was also found to have distributed the copies it torrented by seeding them to others to speed up its downloads. Catch this, guys. Follow what I just said there. Meta's distribution of the pirated data sets through leeching or seeding during torrenting remains a live issue in the case. It was not resolved in this decision.
Oh.
The decision is, the judge in essence found that using copyrighted works for training without a license is not fair use. That's good. But granted Meta's motion to dismiss this part of it because of deficiencies in the record developed by the plaintiffs in this particular case. Here's the ruling. In the ruling, the court addressed the 4 factors that courts are required to consider in fair use cases. Fair use is very important for anyone who is in social media, creators, anything like that. Here they are. The purpose and character of the use, including whether the use is commercial and whether it is transformative. Number 2, the nature of the copyrighted works. Number 3, the amount and substantiality of the portion used. And number 4, the effect of the use upon potential market for or value of the work. The court correctly noted that factor 4 is undoubtedly the single most important element for fair use. I'll repeat number 4. The effect of the use upon the potential market for or value of the work. Do you all recall in the case where Meta basically said that books and authors are valueless? Do you remember that? We touched on that, right? So, and number 4 is directly addressing that. Let's see. It agreed that what the guild has been saying for years on this factor. Here's the catch, guys, and here's what everybody needs to hear. Flooding the market with AI-generated works will undermine the incentives that copyright is intended to protect. Generative AI has the potential to flood the market with endless amounts of images, songs, articles, books, and more. So by training generative AI models with copyrighted works, companies are creating something that will dramatically undermine the market for those works. Catch that, creators, catch that, authors. I'll repeat it for those in the back. Training generative AI models with copyrighted works, companies are creating something that will dramatically undermine the market for those works, and thus dramatically undermine the incentives for human beings to create things the old-fashioned way. This is a critical judicial recognition that the overall harm to the creative professions caused by unauthorized training can and must be considered as part of the fair use analysis. Ouch. We have to take that into consideration, right? Because if we don't, and Chelsea, you and I have talked about this ad nauseum for probably a year now, the flooding of the market with AI generated things and how it's destroying human created things. Okay, here the court found that 13 plaintiffs failed to provide sufficient evidence of this type of market harm. What type? Flooding the market with AI is damaging human creation. They failed to prove that in court, and that's why Meta AI won. And as should now be clear, this ruling does not stand for the proposition that Meta's use of copyrighted materials to train its language models is lawful. So the judge allowed the win. Okay. Meta won, AI won, but they still said it's not lawful. The reason they won is because the authors that prompted this case weren't able to prove that they were actually being harmed.
Like we have laws for that yet? Come on, people. Like,
right. It's like, so it's not lawful. Meta and AI broke the law. In this ruling, they broke the law. But since the authors weren't able to prove that they were actually damaged by that law breaking, the ruling went to Meta. Crazy, crazy stuff. I'm almost done. I hope everybody's staying with me because this is important for authors. This is okay, this is a good point. Using books to teach children to write is not remotely like using books to create a product that a single individual could employ to generate countless competing works with minuscule fraction of the time and creativity it would otherwise take. This inapt analogy is not a basis for blowing off the most important factor in the fair use analysis. One of Meta's arguments during this proceeding is, hey, you use books to train your kids how to read and write. That's how we teach kids. So isn't it cool if we teach generative AI with books as well? That was her argument. I was like, what are you talking about?
That doesn't even make sense because it's like when you're teaching kids, the books are legally obtained. That's the big differentiator here. And they're over here pirating books and calling it fair use.
Right. And the fact that when you teach a kid, that is for the betterment of society. Okay.
Yes.
That is for the betterment of the child's future. That child's future will ripple out into the rest of society. Goodness gracious, we are not going to compare human life and human growth and human interaction and the effect of a human that it has on its potential sphere with generative AI. Come on now.
Meta will.
Meta will. So one of the end points of the ruling was Meta won. They can still use all these books to train their AI, but they have to legally obtain them now.
Legally obtain.
Boo-hoo. Right? Yeah, they actually have to buy the books now instead of pirate them. But they can still torrent them and they can still seed them. So once they buy them, it's theirs. They can do whatever they want with it. They could sell it to a million other people. They could give it to a million other generative formats. There's still a long way to go. I got one more paragraph. I know, guys, this is a little longer intro, but it's good stuff. People need to know this. Authors especially need to know this. Courts can't stick their heads in the sand to an obvious way that a new technology might severely harm the incentive to create or the market, just because the issue has not come up before. Instead, it seems likely that the market dilution will often cause plaintiffs to decisively win the fourth factor and thus win the fair use question overall in cases like this in time. So, what we're saying here is that the fourth point of the fair use rule is the thing that is going to see authors come out victorious in future lawsuits, things like that. It's really sad that we're talking about authors having to go and defend themselves every time.
Any creator at that point. I mean, I think
Right.
in this specific case, we're talking about the authors, but anybody that creates is facing the same uphill battle,
Correct.
essentially.
Correct. And unfortunately, with this ruling setting a precedent, yeah, okay, you might get paid for your work when an AI model or an AI company decides to take it and use it. You'll get paid for it. But once it's in the system, there's been no precedent for what they can do with it or what they can't do with it. Right now, they can do anything they want with it. So very interesting stuff. Sorry to take so long on that intro, but I think that is I think it's probably the most important thing hitting authors right now. So yeah,
absolutely. And so along with Meta's lawsuit, we had the Anthropic lawsuit as well.
Yeah.
And Anthropic is essentially another version of ChatGPT. It's a different model, different company, all of that. And they had the same ruling that happened, I think, within a day of Meta's ruling. It all happened in the same week.
Okay.
And Anthropic they were told they were using under the fair use. They were granted that, but they were continuing a court trial or a case because of the pirated works, and they were facing massive fees that they were going to be ruled on by the end of this year. And so they were saying under the copyright infringement that some of these fees could go up to $150,000 per work. Yeah. So Anthropic, which is why I thought it was really interesting, because while the case rulings were a tad similar regarding the pirating versus the Fair Use Acts, Anthropic seems to have gotten the harder crackdown, saying you're going to have to pay for the works that you've pirated and the copyright infringement. And so it'll be really interesting.
That's really interesting because Meta got off scot-free on that.
Meta free? You mean they paid somebody off? What?
I wasn't going to say it. I wasn't going to say it.
I'll say it.
Yeah.
Like Anthropic's this little guy, and then you've got Meta, who basically rules the world. And I mean, you're going to tell me it's the same case, and Anthropic basically got the beat down, and Meta just is going to walk away and be like, oh, be careful. You just have to legally obtain your works now. See you later. Yeah, that's what I was like, what?
Wow, crazy. Yeah. So yeah, watchers, listeners, what do you think? Writers, all of our writers out there, all of our authors or creators, our artists, our painters, our poets, anything like that, our musicians. What are your thoughts? Because it affects us all. I'd be really curious to see what everybody's thinking now that the ruling has been set and some precedent has been set. There's obviously going to be a lot more. But yeah.
This is the first step toward creating guidelines and laws regarding AI. And that's what I think why this is such a monumental thing. Like, regardless of, yes, I don't think the rulings were entirely in the author's favor just because of the certain things. I'm like, if you wanted to get nitty gritty, but being the fact that this is the first ruling ever of the two cases, right? I'm very interested to see what happens in the next 5 years, even the next year, because I know we've got multiple cases open, lawsuits that are open regarding generative AI and the training of models across multiple different companies, even the same company with multiple lawsuits. I know this is for Meta. This is one of probably a dozen or more lawsuit cases regarding AI and what they've done with it. So yeah, it's very interesting, but this is carving the way to set rules that says, okay, you can do this, you can't do this, you can do that, you can't do that. And so I think it's very, very important that we keep an eye on this, just because this is our future,
Yeah, you're absolutely right.
Yeah.
Oh, you know what? Speaking about future, I shared the link in our writing group in our Discord, which if anybody is out there, any authors out there that want to be part of a great writing group, we have one. It's full of awesome authors of all genres, and it's a great. So yeah, if you want that, DM us or whatever. I'll send you a link to that. But I watched a marketing video, and this guy's on the leading edge of marketing, and he's very interested in AI
Mm-hmm.
and how it affects how marketing works for the creator. Okay. And so he was breaking down how we all hear the term SEO. That's something that has been pounded into our head. Your SEO has to be there. Your metadata has to be there in order to get reach. Because as we all know, simple social media and things like that, unless you blow up and get this gigantic generic following, regular marketing just doesn't work anymore. It gets way scarier. So this guy was saying that 5 years ago, the way you would get SEO to work for you is you'd have your SEO and your metadata good, and Google would, for every 2 pages scraped, they would scrape your information. For every 2 pages scraped, they would drive one user to you. So one actual interested user, somebody that matched your SEO, they would drive to you. And they're out there scraping all the time. So, a small company or a small creator could have, maybe 20, 30 scrapes in a day, and they send, 5 or 6, I'm not doing the math here, I'm just saying 5 or 6 people a day to them. That was 5 years ago. 6 months ago, it was 18 scrapes for one user. Okay. 18 scrapes for one user. Now today, so six months ago it was 18 scrapes. Now today, it's over 1,500 scrapes for one user.
What?
Let that sink in. Allow the fear to sink in. My mind was blown when I heard that. Do you want to know why?
Why?
Because nobody is using Google anymore. People are staying on ChatGPT, like we've talked about. ChatGPT is a great Google search. Yeah, but guess what? Now that nobody uses Google anymore, there's not that many users out there for them to push or to keep on Google. So same thing in YouTube. Like YouTube will reward you for your length of video watch, and then if they click on something after that, either another one of your videos or somebody else's video, if you keep people on the YouTube platform, they reward you with more people that will like you. Same with Google. But if the pool of users is shrinking, they're going to send less and less and less to the little guys. And he had all the charts. Yeah. So that is, and he's saying within the next 6 to 18 months, Google and SEO as we know it will be irrelevant.
So I have to be the devil's advocate here.
Okay.
With Gemini taking off and blowing up, Gemini's gotten a lot of traction in the last few months. I mean, and as you and I have proven, even using it as private channels for our own stuff, it seems a lot more accurate, smarter, all of that. My question is I wonder what his statistics are going to look like now that we have Gemini back in competition, competing with ChatGPT. Because Gemini's got some massive freaking comeback, dude. And I mean,
here's the kicker.
What?
So say you Google something, or not Google something, you Gemini. You're in a gym, and and you're in the gym or whatever. You search. As long as you're relying on Gemini, you're within the Gemini.
So it doesn't even count.
Correct.
Oh.
If you were to click a link to go outside of Gemini, you're no longer within that sphere.
Okay.
And so they're no longer rewarding you for staying in Gemini.
That makes sense. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So
it's
yes, in that regard, Google will die.
Yes. Right. And so along with it will the marketing that we're still trying to catch up on and be part of.
Yeah.
All SEO, all metadata is going to go out the window.
I'm very interested to see, man, I would be a fly on the wall if I could with these internal marketing processes with these big distributors like KDP, and thinking, how are they going to market these books that, are usually across the board, you see SEOs and you see little marketing things on websites and things like that, all in Google. It's like if you search something, it's the top list or the top search result. It's like that is essentially saying you would have to reformat and restructure everything on how you market, even as distributors. I'm not even talking just as creators trying to get your work out there. I'm talking like on a global scale. How are companies getting their product out there?
Right. He said marketers and marketing companies are scrambling right now to
Yeah,
try to figure out what this AI world is where it's going so that they can be there to hopefully not have everything sink, have everything just disappear.
that's fascinating. It is,
Crazy.
yeah, it is a true race against time. And whoever gets in line, whoever is up there with the AI advancements and this shifting tides, they're going to come out on top. It's
Right.
like if you don't get on the AI bandwagon, you will be left in the dust.
Absolutely 100%. Yeah.
And that's where I think, I mean, even kind of tying it back to the conversations we've had, it's like we're not trying to villainize or turn AI into a hero,
No.
but this is the changing tides of the world.
Right.
And if you are not utilizing AI in some form or function, it's like you are being left in the dust.
Right.
And that doesn't mean, again, not villainizing it, not saying use it for your writing, but it is a tool and it's not going anywhere. And
It's not
so,
going anywhere. And unfortunately, just like take the take the USB-C. USB, we used to have USB-C or micro or lightning. Now everything is being turned to USB-C. If you're like, no, I'm going to keep my light, you're going to be without a charging unit, right? Look at the old folks or the people who have a harder time using smartphones. I'm not going to get a smartphone. I'm going to stick with my. You're going to be left behind.
mhm,
So technology advances, and we don't have to like it, but we at least have to learn it and know how to use it and use it for our benefit. Otherwise, we will be left behind. And that's especially true for creators. It's like we can't fight it. We can use it ethically. A lot of people are cheating now. We've talked about that ad nauseum. And there's a lot of articles out there. The guy who just got signed, to a book deal that said, "Yeah, I used AI to write my book," and he got a
butthole.
book deal. Terrible, but he's making the cash. Whatever. It's not ethical. I don't agree with it, but that's that. So yes, you can have your mores and your ethics, but this is a tool that's not going anywhere. It's going to shape the future. It
Mhm.
is shaping the future. We have to understand it to move on. Just like 5-10 years ago, we had to start understanding SEO and pushing that.
Exactly.
Yes, it's hard and it's disheartening. And as creators, as authors, all we want is for people to see our books and to read our books and to love it. None of us are in this for the money. If we get money, great. That's not why we're here. But to pour your soul into a creation, and then just because there's this new tool, this new technology that we don't know, just because we don't know it and don't know how to use it, or we refuse to use it, now no one is going to see our work.
Exactly. And
That's about
it's hard. I don't think anybody wants to take time trying to learn new skills. It's like we're already having to deal with so much, but with the changing tides and how fast AI is evolving and being implemented into your everyday life, even on a work scale. What I do at my job, they just introduced a generative AI training model for students. And so it's like, what? That just got introduced. So now it's in the education system. And it's like, so it's not going anywhere. And it's
can I interrupt you there? Just because I
what?
just another article I read was so interesting. They did a study. They studied like 500 students, college students, and
I know where you're going with this.
did you see this one? Okay.
Yes.
So these were creative writing students. Okay. And so they set them up with, and they created a baseline and everything, and had them do some writing on their own. And then they had part of the group continue to do their writing on their own. They had part of the group use Gen AI to do the
Hmm.
writing for them or to assist them and things like that, and then come back and rebalance the baseline. And they found that the people who were using Gen AI to write were exponentially slower and less creative and quote unquote dumber, even though they had set a baseline here when they started. after they had used this for that set amount of time, they came back to reset the baseline, and they couldn't even meet the baseline they had met previously, let alone exceed it. And those who had not used generative AI and continued to write on their own with flexing that creative muscle, they exceeded the baseline.
Mm-hmm.
So, the more and more we start using it in work, in education, in creation, the dumber and dumber we are going to get, because this thing is not, our brain is not flexing.
They did release this previously. They released it without being peer reviewed because it was in such a state of emergency, in their opinion, that this information gets out there, that they are hoping to increase awareness, and in doing so, start changes before it gets out of hand. And so it is being peer reviewed, and by the time it was released and by the time we reached the public, it might have been peer reviewed, but I did read somewhere that they had released it in ahead of time before being peer reviewed, for the sake of getting the information out there, because we're in a state of emergency. That was total proof. I mean, there are college students out there that are AIing their way through these college degrees, like engineering and being a medical doctor and stuff like that. And then when they get on site, on field, they can't perform, and they don't know what they're doing. And they can't recall basic information that is like bachelor level information that they should be knowing. And so this is extremely disruptive to the workforce, to our creative capabilities, to our mental capabilities, our long-term memory. I mean, even mental health, because it's like when you know how to do something, you feel good, right? And so it's like when you cheat your way through, because that's what it is, essentially, you're cheating your way through using AI. It's like you have to have the lowest self-esteem I've ever seen. Like by the end you get that degree, and it's like, do you feel good about yourself? Like, that's okay. So that was me ranting a little bit, because I worked my ass off for my master's. So it's like it blows my mind that we're just normalizing AI and using it as a tool. We're abusing the tool and cheating our way through. But that's
our education system has gone downhill for the last 30 years, right? We've seen that in international test scores and things like that, right?
Yeah.
So but now, oh my gosh, I can't imagine. And we're not going to get off on a tangent on education or anything. I want to bring this back to creativity. You know, when I sit down and write a scene or a chapter for the scene, Blade, I mean, man, there's so much heart and emotion, and my prose, my verbiage, my voice is all over it.
Your heart.
My heart is in it. And when people read that, they're going to know that is from me, and they're going to be able to feel the human emotion. Can you imagine just going and picking out a book, by the cover, or because it's an author you like who has decided to start cheating, or the blurb on the back just looks good and you're like, it's solid, and it just comes out and you read it, and it's so 2D. Like there's no 3D to it, there's no emotion to it, and that is what's going to be flooding the market. Oh my gosh. And just how stupid we're going to get, how little creativity, and how little, I don't know, man. I don't know. I don't even know where we went with this or how we got on it, but
but it's true though. It's like the lack of fulfillment. I mean, when you start utilizing AI to write for you, where's the fulfillment? Where's the heart? Where's the passion? Why are you even doing it? Like, we choose, you and I and many other authors sit down every single day, or almost every single day, and write a story or work on a story because it fulfills us and it gives our soul a voice and a way to explore themes, the darkest secrets of humanity, sometimes very beautiful moments. It's like it humanizes us and it humanizes the readers.
Right.
And it's like now, or even if you're creating music, painting, a poet, all of that. And now you're being told that you can use AI to do that. Like, as a human, where did our humanity go? That's sad, because I think at the end of the day, art is what makes us human. Whether it's writing, music, painting, you name it. It's art makes us human. And when we start dehumanizing art, we're dehumanizing ourselves.
Because what is art but an expression of our humanity?
Yes.
And so when we use generative AI to express that,
F you.
you're not expressing humanity, right? You're not expressing your soul. You're not. Goodness gracious. Let's talk about my injury. You want to hear it?
Okay, hold on. We have to do one more AI talk. One more.
Okay, let's do it.
So, because you were talking about it and it totally reminded me, Gabby sent this to me and I was like, we have to talk about this. It's just, again, I come back to the copyright infringement type things. So there is a author and we probably all know her, but her name is Victoria. I can't pronounce that backwards. Okay.
I don't recognize it,
Victoria Aveyard. Aveyard. I
Aviard?
recognize her face. And
Okay.
I think I've seen her on TikTok. She's a
Well,
very big.
She's got a blue mark, so she's got to be ginormous.
She's yeah.
Yeah.
So get this. She shares this on, I believe, X or Threads. It was sent to me. Gabby sent this to me. It's a screenshot.
Okay.
And she goes, "Hey, at character AI, what the F is this?" And it is a screenshot of a character AI, because you can see that now. If you scroll through Instagram, you can see that now, right? Where it's like, oh, chat with this, chat with that. And
Okay,
yeah. And you can chat with these characters, or like a horse, or a cowboy. Like, it's crazy what they're doing now.
Yeah.
It was her character, and she did not give permission for that.
Dang.
Yeah. And so I was like, what the F? Like, where is the line being drawn? Like, her
Right.
character was fed into this model, made into a specific niche model that said you can talk with this character, and is being advertised, and she never once gave permission, none of that. It's complete copyright infringement. And I'm sure they're going to call it fair use, but it's, because they'll try to find some loophole, right? Because it's
So now, with that precedent that was set, if whoever created that character model actually purchased the book,
yeah,
then as it stands right now legally, they can do whatever they want with it.
exactly. Is that like crazy?
That is
One,
crazy.
if you separate it, you're like, yeah, that's super cool to think you can have your own little personal model and you can talk to them, right? I think we can all imagine how fun it would be to talk to one of your characters.
Yeah.
It's another thing when it's done without your permission and you find out through the grapevine and you're like, what?
Right.
What? Especially when you already see these AI driven business models getting away with so much without consequences. And you're like, okay, where is the line being drawn?
Yeah, that's crazy.
I had to share that.
Okay, so now let's go into injury. Let's get off all this writer and author talk. Nobody's here for that. Nobody is here for the writer and author talk. People are here for us. So Sunday night, for anyone who doesn't know, I just got my ears gauged. I'd never had my ears pierced before. Thought it'd be fun. I went to a 10. Worst experience of my life. It was terrible. It was painful. I've got tattoos all over the place. I've broken bones. I've even broken my back. And it was, I would put it up there with breaking the back. I did not like it. It was terrible. It was the hollow needle. Oh, yuck, gross. Anyways, have to heal for 3 months. I'm about a month into healing. And Sunday night, I was helping a dude lift something pretty heavy. And so I lean down. We're going to go on 1, 2, 3, go. He goes on 3. I go on go. So his side lifts up as I push in to lift. And these are glass studs, right? So the glass studs, the corner of the table just destroys my ear. Just bam, smashes it, shatters the glass inside my ear, just gone. So I'm like, oh crap, dude. So I look down, it's dripping blood. I'm like, dang it. I'm not worried about pain or injury, whatever. You can handle that. I'm worried about glass being stuck in it. But the most thing I'm worried about is the hole closing, because I'm a month and 3 month healer.
Priorities,
right?
Yeah.
Right. Got to keep that piercing open. So I run to the bathroom and run under water and start putting my finger in it and making sure there's no glass in it or anything. There's not. I come out and we start talking about trying to figure out a way to keep it open until I can get to the piercer. And it is, of course, Sunday. So it's Sunday night. Obviously, I'm not getting there tonight. So I need to put something in it. So we're looking at different things. We finally land on the inside tube of a pin. And so we put that up against this one. It's about the same size. So I clip a little piece off that. And I start to put that in. I'm like, man, this kind of feels sketch, dude. Like, who knows how clean this is? Who knows how clean you can get plastic? I don't know. You probably can't get plastic very clean when it comes to an open wound. So my buddy who has a septum pierced, he's like, well, my septum is a 10. and everybody else was like, you know? So I was like, all right, bet, let's do it. So he goes and takes his, unscrews his septum, takes it here. I run it under hot water, and then I hand it to Colin because I can't see what I'm doing. Colin proceeds to shove. So right now I have his septum piercing. Shove his septum piercing into my ear while everybody else is just gagging. But it ended up working. Cleaned it up. It's looking good. I went to the piercer. He said, "Hey, I would not have done that, but it looks fine." So yeah,
It was Sunday night though. You couldn't even reach him.
right. He said, "Hey, man, you saved the piercing, so I got to give you that." So
Okay.
yeah. So basically, Robert's nose in my ear made love, sweet love, and
Romantic.
yeah, it's romantic. And now I have a septum piercing in my ear, but I saved the piercing. And then this morning I went to open my car door, but I was looking somewhere else and I popped myself in the nose. So that was really stupid. I don't understand it, but I'm always injured, and that's my injury story for this week.
Dude, what the fuck?
Yeah, it's the way it is here, y'all. Get used to it.
Oh my god! How did you hit your door?
Dude, I don't understand. My glasses were like, I was like, I have no idea. I just wasn't paying attention.
Like you'd have to be like,
yeah. So I go to the door's gonna swing out and this way.
yeah.
So I did this, and I was leaning in, but then I got distracted, and I just popped myself in the nose.
Oh, dude, that sucks. My story is not even close, but we have wood flooring, like real wood flooring, and I turned just yesterday, the day before. It was the day before. I turned in like a piece of wood shoved into my foot, and it was like this long.
Mm.
Yeah, into my big toe.
Mm.
And I was like, what? I just got like impaled.
Like not like up the toenail.
No. Oh God, stop it.
Okay. That happened to me once, and it was that's why I was like, that's why I cringed. It was absolutely
my toes
awful.
just curled.
Yes, I will. I'll tell that story. I'll tell that story next week because we already did an injury. But please continue.
Oh my god. Yeah, so not as crazy, but I had to sit there and I grabbed nail clippers because I couldn't get to it. It was like shoved, and I pulled out like this giant piece, and my toe was just like bleeding, and I'm like, I just stared at it. I was like, what just happened?
Right. What the heck happened?
It was so random. I was like, I have never been impaled by my floor before.
Oh my gosh. That's
yeah, but crazy. I did not have a glass gauge blow in my ear. So.
Blow up in your ear. Yeah. Two more things I think we should talk about, and then we'll hit what I think is probably the second or third most important thing of the day, which is a warning against not against, it's a warning in choosing your editor. And so we'll talk about editing and choosing your editor and what could happen if you choose the wrong one. We got a great story there. I did want to announce for Chelsea. This is specifically for Chelsea. You all are just viewers. This is for Chelsea. Chelsea, I passed 100,000. Yes, I passed 100,000 by quite a bit. I'm at like 112. So
WTF, bro? This was like you like crushed like 30 freaking thousand words in like a week and a half.
Yes, I did. I got bit with the inspiration bug. The story just kind of clicked after the chapter entitled Two Kings, One Stone Part 2. The next chapter was a small backflash chapter, reminiscent chapter called Echoes of Happiness. And then I got right into the escape. And from the escape, it just flew
up.
So yeah. And also on top of that, I think, because I was planning on this being about 180,000, I think I can wrap it up in like 140 to 150. I think I found a point that would be a good break point for book 2 to start, and I'll be about 30K less. So I'm really shooting for that. I'm hoping for that.
That's amazing. And like think about it, when you're at 112, you're thinking 140, 150. Yeah. You're in the home stretch, dude.
Oh, dude, I'm there. I'm in the home stretch. I was going to make it 3 acts. But I think now I'm just going to split it into 2 acts. I'm going to have the act 1, which was 84,000 words.
Yeah, it was a beast.
Longer than average novels. 84,000 words. And so I'm going to try to make Act 2. Act 1 was just so intense emotionally, romantically, and physically with the final battle. It was so intense. I kind of want to bring it down and open up the resolution of the characters that happened after Act 1. Because I'm all about character, man. When I'm reading, like, I don't care what you throw in there, just make me love the characters, right? So that's why I'm shooting for Act 2 and to end book 1 of the.
Holy crap! This is big news, dude.
It is. Yeah. Well, it's been 2 weeks since we've actually got on and chatted face to face. We talk every day, all day on text, but this is the first time. So
this is okay. So first off, like, okay, when you crossed the 100K mark, was there a feeling?
Oh, there was. I was very happy. I stared at it for a minute. I stared at it. I said, you know what? I'm real happy.
Yes.
Yeah, I was real happy. I felt accomplished. And for, again, those of you who might be new, hi. I've been writing a story for 23 years. In my head, I started it. I have old crunked up pieces of paper that look like old maps from back when I started writing this in my 20s. Then life got in the way, and children, family, career, all that kind of stuff. And I just started. I said, man, I'm gonna do it. I have to do it. It's written for my daughter. It just has to be done. And so that has been my journey, like, for the last 6 months, is taking all those old notes, getting it all back together, and finishing. So that's what I'm doing. So yeah. So hitting that 100,000 of actual completed, ready to send off to the editor work is pretty happy.
That's freaking magical, dude.
Yeah.
I mean, I want you to finish this book so bad.
I'm very, and Chelsea and I, again, for all you new listeners or watchers, Chelsea and I have a dual release on December 16th. So it's gonna be fun. We're gonna have a live, we're gonna have a party, some giveaways, and that's gonna be a lot of fun.
We will be sober for it, I promise.
We will be sober until we're not. So
no promises.
Yeah.
So
I want to get updates on you, and I want to hit the marketing or the editing deal. I think there's one more elephant in the room that we need to address before we do that.
Sure.
You may notice that my wall is empty. Normally there are guitars hanging there. 2 Fridays ago, a band who is very successful locally and has sold out shows scheduled starting in September, and even a tour coming up, called me and said, hey, we got your name from X. You fit our style real good. Would you feel like coming in and playing with us and see how we gelled? I was like, oh crap. It's been like 25 years since I've played. And I went up, and they've got music videos out, and they've got some live footage out. And so I went and watched their live footage. They're very high energy. The singer is just incredible. He's a great front man. Sold out shows. I was like, all right, you know what? I'm going to try it. Why not? Got the old guitar down. Started trying to get my licks back up. Went and played with them. That night they were like, yeah, here's the dotted line. They're like, yeah, we want you.
Of course they did.
So, announcement, I am now in a band. And we will be touring in early 2026. We have sold out shows at the end of 2025. And so now, on top of being a father with 2 jobs and a husband, and a writer with a book out coming out in December, I'm also a rock star. So I just wanted to let you know, put that announcement out there. You know what? I'll share a clip of them here. Boop boop. Or My Escape Kansas City band. Because if you just look up My Escape, you'll find a lot of escape rooms. I noticed when I started looking at them. So My Escape, very, very good. Very, very good. They are. And they're my style, man. They're right in my style. It's that punk emo mix of like the early 2000s. and that's
It's
my
so
job.
good.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
so good. You've sent a couple of clips of their songs, and I love their
yeah.
music.
And they're
Yeah.
talented. I mean, it's good. It's like radio friendly. It's the drummer his drummer's my tattoo guy. So he's
Wait, what?
did I tell you that?
No.
That's how they got my name, because Jeremy started playing drums for him.
Dude, this world is small.
It is. It is small. So yeah. So Jeremy started playing drums for him. They're like, when they parted ways with their guitarist, they're like, yeah. Jeremy's like, call Micah, and so they called me, and that was that. Yeah.
So, question though, like you've had to get back into playing guitar like regularly. Did
Mhm.
you have the callus with your fingers and stuff like that?
There, I need a little bit more, but it's not that bad.
Okay.
Yeah, because they're already kind of like, if you look at the very tips, my fingerprints are already rubbed off. I've
Okay.
played for years and years and years, so it's there. They just had to like kind of build up again. And more of it is the muscle memory.
Yeah.
Trying to because I have it all up here, but it's reminding my hands how to connect with that. So
That's so
yeah.
cool. So how are you I know you guys practice, but do you go there and you practice like every song on the practice sessions, or is it just a group of them at a time, or
Yeah, so they sent me all the songs that they're keeping. They're wiping a lot of the old songs because back in the day when they had first started, they had they didn't really know their style. So they
Yeah.
had a bunch of songs in different styles. And when they picked Jeremy up a little while ago, Jeremy's been in bands forever, and he's a drum tech for some big bands, Demon Hunter, POD, the
Wow.
Misfits. Yeah, so he's in the scene very very heavily, and
And he does tattoo work?
he owns his tattoo shop. Yeah.
Dude's a badass.
Yeah, dude, he is. He is. But he took on the role of tour manager for Demon Hunter. So he's actually their tour manager now. So he's heavily in the scene. And so he knows a lot about marketing and about what works, what sells. So when they got him in a while ago, he basically told him, we need to scrap these songs. These songs don't work for your style. He started shaping the band to take that next leap forward.
Wow.
Yeah, yeah. So they have 3 old songs and 3 new songs, and then we have 2 more that we're working on. But we've just been going over whatever we can, when we're at practice.
Yeah.
But starting Monday, we're going to actually set the set list and just rehearse the set list over and over and over again. Start working in stage presence, moving around, doing whatever. The singer's going to start working on his talking in between songs, so that your set list is just perfect.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we start that Monday. Yeah,
That's so effing cool.
yeah. It's a lot of
So
fun.
cool.
It's fun.
That's so cool. Honestly, like it's really cool to hear the experience with preparing. Because like I'm a total outsider to that. And so obviously I figured there would be some sort of set list practice, but like hearing that the singer is gonna kind of work through what he's gonna say, and then working on the stage presence, and that entire all the layers that go into playing.
Yeah, when you're playing live, the least important thing is what you're actually playing, because that should be second nature.
Yeah, yeah.
That should be second nature. The most important thing is your stage presence. Is moving around the stage, swinging your guitar around, high fiving people as they get close to the stage.
Are you gonna go headbanging?
I have never been a headbanger because it hurts my neck. Yeah, I'm not a fan.
I don't like it either. Don't worry.
But will I jump out on stage if people are going to catch me? Yeah, why not? Freaking
Dude,
do it.
that's crazy. Okay, so do you practice like every day?
I play every day, which has become difficult because there's another one of those things on my plate that I have everything on my plate. But yeah, so I will run through the set list myself every day. Just keep it in my head. Get it to the point where I close my eyes, or I'll read something while I play it, so that it becomes second nature. So
I was gonna say, you're using two different parts of your brain doing that, which is that's impressive.
Yeah, so you want to be able to do that without even thinking. You want to be able to go through the entire set list without even thinking, so that you can focus on the crowd and that you can get those things going. But the first show I'm playing, September 5th, is a sold out show with The Urge, which I don't know if you know who The Urge is, but they're a very big band. They've been around for 30 years. This is actually their 30th anniversary tour.
Good for them.
Yeah, and we're opening for them. They are so high energy. It is unbelievable. The lead singer, he does flips on stage, and like the crowd goes nuts for these guys. So
Holy crap. So
yeah,
you would obviously, as a band going in to open for them, you would want to match some of that energy.
right. We need that energy up, and so it's going to be really me, the bassist, and the singer who have to have our energy really high, because of course the lead guitarist has to be a little more docile because he's playing lead notes,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
But with me, the bassist, and the singer, we can actually really get the crowd going, get into the crowd, and yeah, that's what we want. That's what we want to do, is we need to hype them up.
Oh, dude, that's so cool. Now, okay, I don't know if you could say this yet, but wasn't there some talk about?
Don't say it yet.
Oh, okay, never mind.
I'll bleep
Just,
that. I'll bleep
just
that.
bleep that out. Just bleep
Yep.
that out.
Yep. Can't see that yet, but yes, there is, and there's also talk about a northeastern tour with a very big band. So a very big band that is
Okay, bleep it out, but can you tell me? Oh!
Yeah, that band I showed you. Yeah,
Oh!
yeah. So they're talking about a tour along the northeast coast. So I actually probably be able to see Brian during
I
that.
was gonna say, takes a tour. It's like,
Yeah.
hey, I'm gonna stop by.
Yeah, Brian, you want to host? You want to host the band for a night so we can so we don't have to sleep in a hotel?
I bet he would say yes.
Yeah, yeah. So
Okay, that's no pressure on Brian, but
yeah. So that's all in the talks, but we can't announce anything there yet.
okay. Wow.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah, so
badass.
that's what's happening with me, man.
That's so cool. Honestly, that's I'm so pumped for you.
Oh, one more thing before we get to you. I did get my commissioned art back. So
Yes.
I'll pop that up here, boop, so you can see it. It is awesome. I love it. I'm so excited. And we'll see what kind of fun things we can do with that and giveaways. I'm going to get metal prints, things like that. So
he's going to get a giant canvas print and he's going to hang it right behind so you can see it every time we record.
Yeah, I'll put it right there so everyone can see it. Yeah, it's
you should, because honestly, it's freaking glorious.
It's
like,
beautiful.
God, there's so much expression in the photo or the illustration. It's like, you've got the sword, you've got the body, you've got her like leaning,
Right.
It's just like there's so much weight in the illustration.
And the fact that you kind of know her story or what she's endured, and she is the queen of sorrows, and she endures 3 sorrows, and to know that, it's even better. But I think that my commissioned artwork and your commissioned artwork, I think they should get married and have a baby, because they would make beautiful babies.
They would make beautiful babies.
They would make beautiful babies.
We're going to cross worlds, and these two are going to run off together.
Yeah. I'm glad you didn't say cross swords, because that'd be weird. That's like, that's something we play with. Never mind. Nope. We'll cut that out. Anyways, y'all, let's get into our last serious conversation of the day, and then we'll get into some Chelsea updates, because we've got Chelsea updates too. But I want to talk about pitfalls in hiring an editor.
Vogue. So
yeah. Let's freaking do it, because believe it or not, y'all, when you write, it doesn't come out perfect.
No,
and you need an editor. Everyone needs an editor, whether you can afford it, what level you can afford, whether you do it yourself, get a friend to do it. We all need editors. That's what separates us from people who just put out work and don't get it. You can tell. You can tell. So we need editors. Chelsea, give us some info on your journey in getting an editor and where you're at now.
Oh, what a journey it's been. Okay, so I've talked pretty positively about the experience. Every time you've asked, I'm just like, I joke. I say it's like dating, blah, blah, blah. Just because I never wanted to, I didn't want to be a brat, and I didn't want to be a biatch, and I didn't want to dismiss the value what I was learning, because there's a couple of things I've learned that I'm like, yeah, that's really positive, and something I can use. Absolutely. Everybody's got a different eye for editing. And that's what makes every journey so unique. But so when I vetted her, she's I can't say her name. If you guys pay me $400, I will give you her name. Her name. Yeah.
So Chelsea just wants money. Just
because you'll know why. So
That's true.
so
Not Chelsea wants money. Chelsea needs money after this.
so obviously, not going to name names, but she's very loved in the community. And so I've actually followed her for quite a few years, since the dawn of my Instagram, I think, actually. And I've engaged on a few of her posts, her reels, like stuff like that. I'm just like, she seems like she knows what she's doing. And so when it came to the standalone, The Dragon of Dread Deep, I wanted to find another option for editing, and not because I don't love the Emperor, as I lovingly call him, but because he's extremely expensive. Mm-hmm. And at the end of the day, it's like he's earned his right to be that expensive, but I can't publish every single story under him, or I'd be out on a loan every time. I'd be like, it would be crazy. I couldn't do it. And so in order to fulfill my dream of wanting to publish more works, I had to start finding different avenues that were just as qualified and skilled and met my standards, but weren't costing a limb every time I wanted to use them. So that's how I stumbled on the one chick from Upwork, which she is working on the query project, which I'm getting back next week. And so I'm very, very excited. I do have a lot of trust in her, but I found this editor, the one I was connected with on social media, and I was like, you know what? Let me reach out to her. And you knew her. It was like, we were kind of all like, everybody knows her in the community.
Yeah.
And so I reached out to her and I started doing some, asking questions. How does your process work? Everything like that. And I've said it here before, so I'll say it again. She works in sections. So you pay per section. And I was informed that I would be doing a development and line edits in one entire section. Yeah. And I have the receipts for that.
Yeah, which not to interrupt, but that makes sense. If you're going in sections, it would be much easier to handle both runs.
Yeah.
Like whether you're doing like a 20,000 or 50,000 word section.
Mm-hmm.
That would make sense. Yeah, that would make sense.
Yeah. And so I have the receipts that state that, and that stated that she would be working with both those processes in each section, which was 20,000 word section. Mm-hmm. And I had agreed to that because I was like, wow, I'm like, that would be awesome. And then I would get an additional proofread for free. So I was like, that makes sense. You're reviewing everything that's been changed, all the tracked read, blah, 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 blah. I get it, because I had to turn on track changes with doing her stuff. Mm-hmm. And so, and I was very satisfied with that. I was like, I like this. It's a new process, but I'm very interested. And I vetted her, like pulled her up on LinkedIn. Like I stalked the crap out of this chick. I pulled her up on a freelance agent site, like everything. Like I was all over the place. Because I've only worked with one editor since the dawn of time, and working with a new editor, as Micah was finding out, like he was my therapist a couple of times. It was extremely stressful. Yeah. Like I had a lot of like weird anxiety going into this, just because one, it was a brand new chick, and two, it was a brand new story. And so I was like, it was a cluster. So let's fast forward. I started to notice that we weren't doing 20,000 words. And I was like, okay. I had done the math in my head. I was like, I know how many words are in my manuscript. And I also had already given an idea of how much this was going to cost based on the promises and the receipts that I had from her. So I was like, okay, I kind of like I liked the work. I was satisfied with the work. I was like, let me just go through, do this process, blah, 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 do my thing. And then it was like 3 additional charges, which I was like, okay, this is starting to add up. I'm like, why are you charging? It was like 15,000 words instead of 20,000 words. And
but no change in the cost.
No change in the cost. And so my unfortunate part is that I had miscalculated my chapter numbers. And so I thought I was coming to the end. I wasn't. And by the time I realized that, I was so deep into this. I was like, let me just finish this. And so I can get my entire manuscript back, because now I was starting to get weird feelings. I was like, this is a lot of money. And I'm like, I mean, we're talking a lot of money, like 25 plus.
A lot of money, guys. Like way more than she was quoted. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm like, I was quoted what was going to be, I think I told Micah it was going to be around 1,800, and I was nearing $3,000. And I was like, okay, hold up. Like, and again, so this is the curse of the editor, this is the curse of the author, right? My fear was if I said anything, I wouldn't get a finished manuscript back. And my priorities, it was crazy. It was like possessive territorial. Like my priority became getting the manuscript in full back. And I was just like, I'm starting to get weird vibes. I'm like, why are you like nickel and diming me? Like when I was under the receipts were showing a different process, and I'm getting, so this is okay. That we're getting close to $3,000. Okay. And I'm like, okay, let me just get my manuscript back. I have 2 chapters left. She sends me a bill for $20K. And I was like, I messaged her back and I was like, whoa. I was like, I said, I did the math. I'm like, there's only 6,000 words left. I'm like, because one of them's an epilogue. I'm like, so what's going on here? And I'm like, can you just tell me? And she goes, this is where the red flag blew up. And I was like, I'm done. So she messages me and she goes, oh, that's being applied to your master edit. And I was like, what? Come again? And so first off, I paid it because I just wanted the freaking manuscript back, and she would not release the rest of it back to me. And at the time she had mentioned, oh, it's not going to be as much, I promise, blah, 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 going into the second phase. And I was tired. I was annoyed. I was already getting weird vibes, and I was just like, pay it and let's just get my manuscript back.
And
So
you're already paying twice as much. At this point, you have paid twice as much. And y'all, just make sure you're following. She was basically told there'd be 20,000 word chunks. So every chunk she would get back, whether it was 20,000 or whether it was 15,000, she would get charged for the 20,000. So so the editor was charging her in chunks, even if she wasn't doing the work. Yeah. That's a pretty huge red flag. And I understand your desperation to.
There was a weird feeling where I was just like, give me the manuscript back.
And that's what people have to understand is, we don't know everything, and we don't have all the answers, but we do know that we get scared too, and we sometimes just feel like we're trapped and we're in a corner. That happens all the time. So if you feel that way, don't learn from what we're talking about here.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to interject, make sure that everybody was on the.
No, you're absolutely correct. Base level it, and so, looking back, what I should have done and just said F you, and I wasn't going to make or break the last 2 chapters if I didn't have them completed. But at the time, I was just like, can I just get everything back? Like, I was starting to freak out. And that was the night I texted you at like 1 a.m. in the morning. Like, I did not sleep all night because there was a strange thing that happened. When I paid the money, at the moment, I thought the way she had worded it when I originally read it, I thought that that was it. Payment was done. Okay, you're just going to cough up, you're done. And she's going to review everything, and then we're going to go from there. And then there was a comment said in passing with my family that night, Sunday night, and it hit me. I was like, oh, F, I think she's going to try to continue to charge me. And it was just like instant. And I was up all night. I was like, holy crap. Like, the money is whatever. It's replaceable.
Yeah.
The principle of who she is as a person was like, I was like, are you telling me I've wasted 2.5, 3 months of my time with somebody who wants to just F me over? And did you even pay attention to all my work? Like, what was this?
Right.
And so I emailed her the next day and I said, can you confirm with me that the pricing is going to continue? So this is where I was trying to get answers. I was like, can you confirm with me that the fees are going to continue as normal? I said, and I just said something. I was like, I'm budgeting for the next 2 months and I need to have an idea what's going on here. She did not reply to me. Wednesday, she sends me the last 2 chapters. Okay. And I'm like, great. Awesome. Can you tell me what I'm going to be being charged? I'm like, can you please? Like, I need to know what's going on here. Like, am I paying? Am I not? Because now when I'm reading your original email about going toward the master edit, it sounds like I'm paying more now. Like, again, more money.
Yeah.
And I need confirmation, and I need to know how much money that is. And then she ignored that email. Yeah. And that's not the only time she's ignored my important emails.
Wow.
So when I originally had emailed her, when I was telling you, is she going to give my manuscript back, when she was reviewing it and stuff like that in the very early stages, I was like, what happened? I thought it was going to be 2 weeks, and now it's been 3.5. So I had emailed her a couple of times, and she never replied to me. And then it was always she had computer issues. And I was like, okay, so for somebody who edits as a full-time, you have a lot of computer issues.
Yeah.
So it was kind of starting to get into a lame excuse where I was just like, okay. And so I got to the point where I was like, she's not being honest with me. She's not answering my questions. And Thursday morning, I just woke up last week and I said, I'm done. I was like, I'm done. And I said, I have to drop out. Thanks for your help, but blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Surprisingly, she emailed me back.
Oh, wow. Oh, wow. Yeah.
So she emailed me back and she said, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. Like, do you want to continue at half the rate?
Like half the rate, chick, you've already charged me double what you said you would.
Gouged me, dude.
Right.
And like, so the thing is at half the rate, it would end up being more money in the long run.
Yeah.
And so I was just like, what the F? Like, and I just told her, I said, no. I said, I'm not comfortable at doing that right now. Again, I was trying to end things amicably because she's loved in the community and I don't like to stir the pot in the community. And so my priority was ending things peacefully and then just moving on. And so it felt the safest out. And so I did that. And then she proceeded, mind you, in that outing, I basically told her I can't spend the money.
Yeah.
And she basically tried to tell me that we can continue to charge me. And I was like, that doesn't add up. Thanks, but awesome. So I can't say too many details because I don't want to be like, oh yeah. So anyways, that being said, this is where I was like, I felt really at peace when I ended things, and I've already been speaking to somebody. And I won't say names yet, but very, very happy with that process so far. But fast forward, I go back and forth with her a couple of times and I say, hey, I know I put some money toward that master edit. Can I get it back? No response. I email her again on Sunday. Hey, kind of checking in. I'm just curious. Can I even get the money back for that master edit that was not done? No response.
Wow.
Yesterday, she sends Tuesday afternoon, she sends an email that says, checking in. I just want to wish you luck and hope you're doing really well. And just, if anything's changed and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, first off, if you weren't a conniving, slimy thief who has been ignoring my emails, I would have actually thought you cared and you just weren't worried about getting a paycheck.
Right.
So, but I can read right through that line and you're transactional. You like, what the F?
Yeah.
So I responded Wednesday morning and I just said, I'm great. Thank you for asking. Following up on the question I had, am I going to get that money back? No response.
And you still haven't heard anything back?
Nope.
Dude, that's crazy.
And she continues to post all over social media.
That's crazy.
So that being said, that's a long-winded story. You have all heard a very personal experience for me. I was actually hesitant to share this because, one, I don't like to be the victim. I don't like to victim blame. I don't like to complain or whine or anything like that. But, and I always like to give off the appearance that everything's okay. Right. But it was it took me a week to recover from the anxiety that I was induced with because of the situation. Like, I had anxiety waves for a week after where they would just come out of nowhere and I was like, chill, bro, you're okay.
Yeah.
And so my fair warning to this is follow your gut feeling. And it sucks because I vetted the crap out of her. I've followed her on social media for years. Given my experience, I don't know if she just did not like me and was trying to F me over.
I've got thoughts on that. I'll let you finish.
Yeah.
I've got thoughts on that.
And that's the thing. But it sucks because we do everything in our power as storytellers to find a supportive team that we can rely on and call on, and that is in our corner. And sometimes it just doesn't work. It's crazy because and Micah knows this firsthand. I would have never just signed on with anybody. It was an extremely big decision because I was, like I said, I stalked the crap out of this chick. I went through all her ratings on her freelance agency site. I stalked everything on her LinkedIn page. I stalked this girl to no end. I stalked her post to make sure how the authors responded because I was curious. I was I'm watching her. I watched her for months before even getting the balls to reach out and be like, I'm interested in working with you.
Yeah.
Because it was very important to me to find somebody who took their job seriously and that wasn't a thief
Right.
or scammer, because I think that's every author's biggest fear.
Right.
But in the end of the day, it's wow. I mean, just what a warning to be. I warn people, I say that because pretty early on, I had a weird gut feeling that I might have made a mistake.
Right. And you had relayed that to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And not because she couldn't do the work.
Right.
But there was a weird feeling I was getting pretty early on. And I shuffled it off as, it's a new editor. It's a new project.
Right.
But when I compare that now, the comparison is I found some random chick on Upwork. I liked her ratings. I liked our conversation, and I handed her my work and I haven't even flinched with anxiety once.
Right.
It was just I was just cool, do your thing, girl. And I assuming the work looks great, I will be using her in the future. But it's it was such a crazy difference experience where I'm I just found some stranger that I've never met or interacted with in my life on Upwork. And I had zero stress compared to the last 2.5 months of stress that I've been dealing with this chick, because there was just an underlying unsettledness. And I think that unsettledness was exaggerated when I started to realize that she wasn't being honest about the 20,000 words.
Right.
And I was when I do the math and I start to realize how much she effed me over, I want to reach through the screen and do illegal things.
Yeah.
Because it's not about the manuscript. Again, I'm satisfied with the manuscript's edits.
Right.
It's not that. It's how she does business.
Right.
And to be dishonest with me is that, and to say, essentially I was going to pay more than I was originally promised. And I did. So it sucks because I wish there would be a big staple sign that said, watch for this.
Right.
But this was one of those instances where everything looked right. Everything had the green button on it. And deep into it, I realized there was no out until I got my manuscript back.
Yeah.
And so, it was a humbling experience.
Yeah. Yeah. So my thoughts on this are, first of all, when Chelsea says she is well-known, well-loved in the community, understand that if you were to go, and again, no names, but if you were to go vet her and look at her, the community that she is well-known and well-loved in, while it crosses paths with the more majority of the community, a lot of the community that she is involved in is newer authors or authors that we are not familiar with. Okay. So that is number one. And I'm just kind of setting the stage to make my point on what I think might be going on. But so yeah, while there is crossover, a lot of her people who have used her, people who have reviewed her, and things like that are not necessarily entrenched in the community.
Yeah.
For any number of years or months, or with any experience outside of the single experience they've had with her. I say that to say that you can go look at hybrid publishers or vanity publishers, or gosh, I talked to this one guy who had spent $22,000 on a company that was supposed to, edit his stuff, get him a cover.
What?
And after all that, I ended up having to go into his KDP and help him fix things that they did. The point in that is that there are people who are getting into this who don't have the support of community and don't have the experience to know when they are working with someone that is going to be on their team and working with someone within the understood rules of what is good practice. And then there are the people who just see a good thing, see a shining object and say, yes, this is good. Let's do it. And then they end up paying way more than they should.
Mhm.
So my thought is that this chick, we both know, is maybe not in the category of swindler, of shyster, of taking advantage of people, but she's bordering that line of
She is.
of making promises and then kind of sliding different things in and nickel and diming, gouging where she can, things like that, because the opportunity for that is there. The opportunity for nickel and diming people and getting money out of people where they really don't need to give the money, that's definitely there. And the problem with Chelsea's experience is she has published 4 books now. She's done multiple anthologies. She's been around. She's used different editors. She's done editing work herself. She understands the rules of engagement per se, and that's where she got that bad gut feeling. But she kind of felt cornered, and she kept going. Again, not to play the victim. I know Chelsea doesn't like to play the victim. I don't like playing the victim, and we don't like to victim blame. But just to you, Chelsea, I kind of, because I went back and after I started hearing the things you were experiencing, I kind of went back and I did some vetting myself, and it really looked like that. It looked like she was. I'm not going to use the word preying, preying. I'm not going to use that word, praying, but she was more accustomed to drawing people in with like a clam with the pearl in the middle. You see the shiny thing, the clam shuts, that kind of thing. She's more along the lines of those unsuspecting or newer authors. And that's what she tried to pull on you, because that's her model. That's her model, and whatever. But again, I'm not placing blame or anything like that. But that's where I kind of think her business model is.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with you. It's such a weird sensation for me to be in the middle of this, because the non-author me is very territorial. I'm a bulldog, and if you F me over, or if I know you're effing people over, I want to make sure the world knows about you.
Right.
I've always been that kind of person. And we've talked about this, that weird, the politics of being in the community,
Right.
being an author. I understand that if I were to stir that pot and begin to speak out, that there could be some ramifications that I don't have the energy for,
Right.
or that could be far more gross than they need to be, because people are cruel. And so it's an odd situation to be in, because you summed it up pretty well with how I felt overall once I've had some space away from this. Was just like, I really do feel like she went in here and just started like nickel and diming me and taking advantage of me. And when she found out it was 100,000+ word manuscript, she was like, she saw money signs.
Right.
And she was just like, oh, you beat out 4 other authors. I'm like, did I? Or are you just telling me that because of the fear of missing out?
Right.
Or because they had 50,000 word manuscripts and, I have 100,000 word manuscript and you saw a paycheck.
Right.
So very, very odd situation to be in. And there was a couple of other things too. And I actually spoke to an author we both know about this on Friday. And I won't say her name here because I don't know. I should, because it involves the other topic that I said I don't want to talk about yet. But so I spoke to them and I said there were some comments. I've had the emperor of the editor I work with he can be downright non-sugarcoating. Like he will outright tell you this sucks, and you're just like, good, cool,
which is what
awesome.
you want. It's what you want. Yeah.
Yeah. And so when it comes to that, it's like, I always say never sugarcoat anything. I make jokes to my editor. Like I will literally send a manuscript that says ready for slaughter, because I'm just like, tear it apart, dude. Like that's what I'm hired you for.
Yeah.
With her, some of her comments felt different. Some of her comments felt almost dismissive and like she was personally attacking my story. Yeah. And so I've sat on that one for a while, but I started toward the end. It felt like her comments got more and more intense. Like she was just like, uh, I was like, bro, there's a time and place for bedside manners, and you are not like, it is just not working. Like she attacked my magic system. It was just like, which I was like, I can't change my magic system, dude. I'm
Right.
like, it's foundational in the main saga.
Right.
Like,
And we're
so
way too deep, bro. Yeah.
way too deep, bro.
Way too deep.
Like, for example, dark energy in
Mm.
my world is the pure the dark energy makes up the pure elements, right? We're talking like fire and water and wind and the
Yeah.
metals in the ground. It's a unique twist, right? But dark energy is not supposed to be messed with because it will consume you.
Yeah.
And so there's very few who've ever been able to even master it, which is why Morai is such a big character, because he masters fire. But there's consequences to that power. And so that's part of his journey that you follow through a storyline, and that's a very high level overview of the magic system. I mean, so high level overview that was like YA level, but I'm
Yeah.
not even going there. So that being said, she basically attacked the fact that the dark energy was personified these elements, and I was like, what?
What I don't understand is what is her baseline? It's not like you're following somebody else's
She
schema.
basically said, she was like, she goes, you're basically saying the elements are bad, and she's like, and that makes no sense. And I was like, what? She goes, that I've never seen that done before. This is going to be confusing for readers. That's literally what she said. And I was like, my emperor of an editor actually thought it was a wicked idea.
Yeah.
So you can go F yourself. Thank you.
Yeah. It's like you're not. Why did you start this in an hour and 30 minutes in, Chelsea?
Sorry.
This could be a whole topic. The baseline for your magic system is your universe. It's not any other universe.
Rules.
Right. It's like we're not comparing it to any other universe or what works and what doesn't in another universe, as long as it makes sense in your universe, which it does because you've explained it and built it in that universe.
Yeah.
Hello. I
literally, and in that section that she calls out,
yeah,
I literally was in the middle, like, because you always have those like, where do I introduce the magic system, right? And you have to do it early on because it's going to be a big part of the story, even if it's not fully understood yet. But I basically have Cassian end up in this alleyway with this like strange dude, and he's like, what is going on? And there's some supernatural things happening that's causing him to be with this guy, who ends up being a god, and he doesn't know that, but this god ends up telling him about the magic system. And he's just like, what is happening right now? And the guy is literally telling him how the energy works in these realms, and the living realm and the realm of the dead and all that. And in that very same line, I am literally breaking it down and saying, what is light energy versus dark energy? And why is dark energy considered what it is? And why is light energy the creator of all things? And why does everything, derive from chaos? Like, all of this. And she's like, it doesn't make sense. She goes, readers aren't even going to understand this. I've never seen this done before.
Just the fact that she says I've never seen it done before. It's like,
and that's the problem.
Right.
Yeah, man, I wish I could tell you exactly how it was worded, but it was worded in such a way that I actually was like instantly offended. I was like, are you effing kidding me? Great. I was like, did you just attack my magic system?
Yeah.
It was like, and I mean, I've seen some harsh comments, dude. Like, the emperor has done some crap that I'm just like, you want to crawl underneath a hole because you're just like, whoa, that was rough.
Yeah.
Nothing came close to the level of offense I took with some of her comments. Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah. And so it's just one of those things where I'm like, but again, 90% of the comments, I was like, yeah, I can see where this would be understandable, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
So fast forward. This chick said she worked on dark fantasy. I was like, I don't know if you actually worked on dark fantasy.
Yeah.
Not at my scale.
Right.
Maybe like high level YA level dark fantasy that was and I don't mean that offensively. I mean that it's told at a different level.
Right.
But when you start writing it like your or my level, everything's done in very significant detail, and there's layers, and so it's like I don't know if when she says she's worked dark epic fantasy, I'm like, I don't know if you've actually worked the real dark epic fantasy.
And when you go back and look at the things she has worked on, none of it is really that.
Yeah.
And when we say level, we don't mean this is a better level than this one.
No.
We mean a different level. Yeah. Not a better or worse.
Different spectrums for genres.
Different spheres. There's just different ways different stories are told, and how it's explained. And you all know this. You all are authors. We don't need to explain this. I did want to point out, this is not a bitch session, and this is not a woe is me.
No.
This is what we do here on the show, is we talk about our experiences. Everyone has these experiences. This is why we don't go to Threads and blast somebody's name. This is why we don't go to our social medias and do a woe is me, or say don't ever work with this guy, or this is what happened to me, and so poo poo, or I need emotional support or whatever. We're not going to do any of that. What we will do is we will tell you our experiences as authors, as publishing our works, marketing, all that. This is all kind of encompassing what we are when we're together in this show.
Yeah.
So, I just wanted to hit on that real quick. Go ahead.
No, I appreciate that, because at the end of the day, it's like, take a lesson from me, take a lesson from Micah. Like, being an author is no easy journey. And I'm years into this, and I've heard all these horror stories about people that are hired on for, whether it's cover design work, editing, formatting, you name it. I've heard these horror stories, and I've always thought, man, I haven't had one yet. Right. And I've officially had my first.
You had your first. And you know what? We both know that there will be more. Because it's hard. And we are singular businesses, right? As authors, as creators, we are singular businesses. And you're going to have your ups and your downs. You're going to have your bad times. You're going to have your good times. But so that's, I just want to make sure that everybody gets that we're, what you're going to hear here is our honest truth about what's going on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Absolutely. And that's, I think, why I wanted to share the experience, because at the end of the day, I think somebody can learn something from it. I know I have. It was a very hard pill to swallow, but it was one of those situations where I realized, I was like, got it. Okay, follow your gut feeling. Like, and at the end of the day, from my experience, and maybe people have had good experiences, but I would never do a section edit again. Just because I was told one thing and it ended up being another, and that being such a sour taste in my mouth, and wanting to do illegal things, but not being able to. I would literally never do a section edit again. Not unless I knew for sure it was written in contract that it would be this, so that I could protect myself.
Right.
And that's as beautiful as this journey is. It has its obstacles and it has its sour moments. And I continue to tell myself that while that was one heck of a journey, I am very glad to be out of it. I knew the moment I sent that email, I made the right decision. I was like, okay. I'm not angry about the experience at all. And I think it's very easy for in this community to hyper react and attack and turn into like a mob mentality and go after somebody and whatever. But there's billions of people in the world, and it's like there's an experience for everybody, and not every experience is going to be good. And the best we can do is just learn from it and move on. Because I'm not here to attack her. I'm not here to go after her. She's obviously had impacts on some people's lives. Mm-hmm. She's been in the industry for 15, nearly 16 years. Mm-hmm. And so, she's obviously made a business for it. She's obviously been successful enough with enough people to have repeat business and to have her name spread around. But for me and her, it just didn't work. Right. So it's just one of those things where it's like, that's okay. Not everybody you meet is going to be right for you.
Yeah. And what is right for one person is not right for the other. We've talked about that.
Yep.
Many times in the past. I think we will wrap it there. I think that was a great conversation, great episode after having a week off. Do you want to say anything before we wrap it?
Have fun, everybody.
and keep
Yeah.
writing.
Happy 4th of July for those who
Oh, yeah.
celebrate it. With that, it's Thursday. It's the 3rd. Tomorrow is the 4th for us. So we will be celebrating. And so yeah, everyone be safe who does, and all those who don't, you also be safe. We love you all. Until next time, I have been Chelsea May.
I have been Micah May.
All right. And together we have been whatever the heck this is. We love you. Thank you. Comment, subscribe, like, bell, share, all the cool stuff. Help us out. Help us get out there if you can. We love you. Bye.
Bye.